All right, and joining me on the broadcast is Ambassador Sanjay Bhattacharya. Ambassador, a very warm welcome to the broadcast. Now, Hamas is releasing 6 hostages in exchange for hundreds of Palestinian prisoners and detainees as part of hostage prisoner swap. How do you analyze the entire situation here to begin with?
Well, firstly, this is a long pending issue, the issue between Israel and the Palestinians, and it is most unfortunate that hostages are also involved in this particular situation, because, as you know, the taking of hostages is contrary to the humanitarian law, even in the case of war. So this is most unfortunate. And therefore, while it is very painful to see these pictures, it is also at the same time a sense of relief, I'm sure, for the families who see their loved ones come back. There is a very large number of prisoners of Palestinian origin who are also detained in Israel, many of whom serve long sentences. And what we've noticed is that the Palestinians have been using these as bargaining chips to get some of their political prisoners back to the Palestinian areas. The last time, for instance, we saw that there were about 31 of them who were serving long-term sentences, including Ahmed Barghouti, who's a very, very close ally of one of their political leaders. So what this does show is that the situation is very complex, and it has got into various situations which are not entirely desirable, the taking of hostages and having to deal with them. I must compliment the role of the mediators in this context, the Qataris and the Egyptians in particular, who've played the central role in bringing about this humanitarian reunion. But we do hope that this fragile understanding will last, because the Hamas comes up with various kinds of complaints and sometimes says that it cannot continue with the promised peace settlement understanding of hostage exchange. And we do hope that there is stability in that region so that both feel secure and the people of Palestine can resume their normal lives.
Ambassador, how significant do you think this prisoner exchange is when it comes to a long-term peace agreement?
Yes, as I mentioned, there are actually thousands of prisoners who are held in Israeli in jails. In addition, after the operations began in Gaza and also in the West Bank, there were hundreds of detainees who were taken away from their residences or wherever they were found in Palestinian lands when the Israeli forces came there. So you have two sets of people, one who are prisoners and who have been subjected to a process of law in Israeli courts, and many of whom have also been sentenced. And then you have another set who are essentially not yet charged but have been picked up from Palestinian lands as part of this campaign against the Hamas in Gaza Strip, as well as their operations in the West Bank. And so it becomes a slightly complex issue, whereas the issue about political prisoners is of a different level. Those who are simple detainees and have not yet been charged, they are in a sense similar in content, though not exactly the same. But to have a sense of normalcy, you need to have a cutback on such activities. This is going to be a very, very difficult process, and it'll involve several steps. And I'm convinced that till such time we do not find a solution to this question of settlements, till such time that we do not find a solution to this two-state option, where the Palestinians can rightfully claim that this is their land, this kind of situation, unfortunately, will bring up its head again and again. And the security of the Palestinians and the Israelis, which must be the uppermost thing on their minds, will remain compromised.
Ambassador, body of Israeli hostage Shiri Bibas has been identified now. Earlier, Israel accused Hamas of committing a horrific violation. Can we expect a smooth sail in the second phase? Accusations are still on.
Yes, this is actually an important point that you have mentioned because many of the hostages are presumably dead, though we have no confirmation of that from the Palestinian side, apart from the ones who have already been exchanged. And it is obviously even more tragic to have the dead bodies of your loved ones be sent back after they've been kept hostage in a foreign land for a period of time. And then to this particular instance that you referred to, there was the added complication that it was not actually the body of Sharir, and it was of somebody else, and it was only through DNA testing that they were able to establish that fact. But thankfully, the Hamas were able to identify the actual body of the victim and to send it. What makes it even more unfortunate and sad is that the children were also part of this. And sometimes these are the kinds of situations that you have to deal with, because while they may have been taken hostage, some of them may also have died while they were in captivity. So it's a very tragic thing. The second phase will be very crucial because it is understood that maybe almost a majority of the people, the hostages remaining, may not be alive, and therefore we may be talking about dead bodies. And this will bring up all sorts of complicated situations where Hamas might say that the indiscriminate bombing by Israeli forces, which have also affected civilians on the Palestinian side, may have caused some of them to die, or sometimes their bodies have been misplaced or have not been mistakenly sent back. So some of these things might come up again. But we do hope that this situation can get behind us in the second phase so that we can move towards a longer stretch of negotiations and diplomacy where a peace settlement and security assurances can be provided.
Ambassador, do you also think that it will impact the trust between both the sides?
Yes, so this is absolutely central to everything that is going to be done in the next phase of hostage return and the subsequent settlement of the issue, because there has been a statement by President Trump that he is going to convert Gaza into a Riviera, and that the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip can go to Egypt or Jordan, neither of are willing to accept them, or to other places. As we do know that the Abraham Accords, which Trump had initiated in his first term as president, was actually a wonderful initiative which brought together a future-oriented approach, which brought the Israelis and like-minded Arab states together. And hopefully that kind of rapprochement will be expanded to the other Arab states. And in that sentiment, one would be able to find a settlement for the Palestinian question as well. It is very difficult to imagine a situation where 2 million people from Gaza, and perhaps this might then stretch over to the West Bank as well, that people might have to relocate again to a foreign land. This is something that the Palestinians have rejected, and I can understand their sentiments for that, but I think we have to respect the right of the people to retain their land and their possessions and stay in the land where they belong to.
All right. Thank you so much, Ambassador, for joining in on the broadcast.
Thank you.